Good. Okay. Do you think that Jay beat Ronnie to win his first Olympia that one year? When Jay beat Ronnie for the first time, do you think he actually beat Ronnie, or was it? I just want to know your opinion.
Okay, what year was that? Was that 01 or?
No, 2005, I think it was.
The actual year that he won.
Yeah, the actual year that Jay
I thought you were talking
Ronnie.
about the year Ronnie actually beat him and Jay.
No.
The year that he beat him, it was close. It was close. Here's the thing,
but it wasn't close at the European Grand Prix. Remember the first call out was Marcus Rule, Ronnie Coleman, and Jay Cutler in the middle, and you looked at it, and Ronnie peaked at the European Grand Prix, and you're like, damn, it's not even close. Yeah. But the political factor of Mr. Olympia, I mean, I just thought that was a very strange year, man.
Yeah. Dude, actually, yeah. I mean, that year, actually, dude, Marcus looked phenomenal that year, too.
He did. Marcus looked real good, too, yeah.
He was a freak that year. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough year, and I mean, that was the first year that we really started dealing with Ronnie's issues with the impingement, and it was there for the last it had been there for a while,
right?
But it had become more and more noticeable, and that was the year that it really became noticeable. And I think that if it wouldn't have been for that little imbalance, just that little imbalance, or if they hadn't caught up to it the year before, everybody caught up to it the year before, so they were looking for it that year. If it wouldn't have been that noticeable, Ronnie wins. But because it was it would have put him over the top, so it separates him in league, and it was just enough, I think, to do, to break Ronnie into that, number 9 spot, the 9 in a row, which literally, again, separates him from the great, Lee Haney.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be clear. It has to be clear cut.
Gotcha.
And, I think it was just enough. It was questionable just enough that Jay gets the nod. And I thought that the whole way, going in, I thought he had a shot. And then when I was looking at it, I thought, they're never going to pull the trigger on that.
Okay, so this is coming from his actual trainer, a guy who was like his brother, and a whole family, whole thing. Chad, controversial question. A lot of people always wanted to ask you. Nobody had the balls. I do. A lot of people say, why didn't Chad tell Ronnie to pull back on the weight a little bit? It's not necessary to front squat 700 pounds. It's not necessary to leg press 2,000 pounds. Why didn't Chad Nicholls grab Ronnie and say, hey, why don't you start to do this? Please explain to them why you didn't say that and why you didn't go and interfere in that aspect.
So, in reality, I did. Not to that blatant of and I don't think it would have mattered either anyway. But when it became an issue of about it was probably 2004. So 2004, he was at the biggest he'd ever been, and we started noticing, and that was one of the reasons we really went up in weight, to try to counterbalance the little bit of imbalance there on the lat and tricep. And I told Ronnie, I said, listen, man, you're training beyond what you can, what a human being can withstand, right? And he's like, that's the way I've always trained, right? And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. I get that mentality. And I said, but you are literally doing things that the human body, it doesn't do. And I said, you got to realize power lifters do those type of numbers, but they literally do a weight, and they're doing singles, getting just adapting the nervous system to a weight and just kind of moving up, and then it's one big all-out set. Ronnie was literally doing 12 to 15 reps, coming up, just building to those sets, and he did it every single time he was in the gym. And I remember looking at him and going, telling him, Ronnie, I'm telling you, there's no way the human body can withstand it. No way the human body can withstand it. And he's like, he goes, that's the only way I know how to train.
Yeah.
He goes, my mind and my brain doesn't function that way. How do I go into the gym and train at 50% when I know that I can do this? He goes, I just don't know how to do that. I don't know how to go about doing that. How do you do less of something when you know you can do more of something?
Right.
And I got that way of thinking. And then you kind of fast forward through all these surgeries. And I remember talking to him, this has been a couple of years ago, and I was like, Ronnie, like, dude, if there was anybody that should be just fishing, like, dude, go fish. Like, or like, start playing video games, or hang out with your kids and, you know, do stuff. And I go, you got to chill on the training. I was like, man, I'm pulling up videos of you still cranking out leg press and all of these things. And he's like, Chad, he goes, you know, he goes, I don't know what's going to happen, but he goes, I can tell you if I stop training, I won't live long. Like, I won't live long.
Let me interject right there too. And it's almost like I call that the warrior mentality. And it's what, you know, a lot of people, even if you go and watch Dorian's video that Generation Iron just did, he said it. You go and you get depressed. You go to an actual, I mean, I myself went through that depression. I never really stopped, and I kept going. Right now, my body weight's still up, but it's once in a while. For me, the hardest part, Chad, and I'm sure this is the same thing that a lot of the warriors go through, is not training and throwing around the weight that we used to.
Right.
I want to get in there and do it, but I know it's wrong.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, all of you guys love the aspect of competing on stage, right?
Yes.
But that's not what you fell in love with.
No.
Like, that's not what drove you to be the best. What drove you was the iron game.
Yes.
That's what drove everybody. That's where everybody started out. They started in the gym pushing themselves with the iron. And that's what he's addicted to. Right. It's not, you know, people think, like, what's he trying to prove? Like, is he trying to compete again? He's trying to do this? No, that's not what he's trying to prove. That's just what he loves. And I think, you know, and he said it a couple of times, like, this is what I love doing. This is what I want to do. And, you know, what do you want to do? Like, you want to die doing nothing? Or do you want to die doing what you love? And I mean, some people is going to look at that and be like, that's fucking stupid.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I don't know. You know, I mean, if you're doing what you love, and, you know, it's the only way, and it's the only way of thinking. And he loves being in the gym, and you can tell, like, when he's in there. Like, you can see the videos, even when you know he's in a tremendous amount of pain, when you know he's struggling, when you see him in there, like, you can tell that's where he's happy. Yeah. Like, you can tell.
No, I see it in his eyes, too.
I told him, I'm like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Like, if this is what you want to do, do what you want to do.
Okay. Quick, a couple more quick questions here. Do you think insulin is what's fucking up the sport right now with the physiques and what I call the spongy look? Everyone gets on my case when I say that. I say they look spongy. And because let me tell you why. I'm sitting here and I'll do cardio at my gym, and I'll see these kids walking around with these colorful little jugs of liquid. They'll go and they'll do 2 exercises, and then they'll go to the bathroom. They'll disappear in the bathroom, and they'll come back again with this colorful liquid again. And I know what's going on, and you know what's going on. My question to you is are they taking insulin too far?
Too far, yeah, that's the deal. It's not necessarily the insulin, because insulin has been around for years. It's the protocols that are out there right now. And so, I mean, look, at the end of the day, bodybuilders will push the envelope as far as they can possibly push the envelope. Right. And so we all know, like, well, if once a day is good, well, obviously 4 times a day is better. And, that's like literally what I'm seeing. Like, I'm talking to guys and, they're showing me stuff, and I'll get this, and I'll be like, hey, listen, I think there's a misprint. It shows like 4 times a day. And they're like, yeah, 4 times a day. And I'm like, you're literally doing that 4. I go, how in the hell is that? How are you doing that 4 times a day? Right. And they're like, well, I do it with every meal. Yeah. Like, after the first one. Yeah. I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, that probably is not a good thing. I don't know if that's going to benefit.
So, which brings us to the final set of questions I want to ask you is these internet influencers. Now, I didn't know Rich Piana. I heard that he was a nice guy, and I watched some of his videos and what have you. But what he was doing and what he was preaching and the life that he was going, I knew what was going to happen. I knew it in the back of I used to say to myself every day, man, I just hope to God that this guy doesn't drop because something's about to happen. You can't. Now, do you think that these guys are doing irreparable damage to this sport? These influencers, these guys who have not gone on stage and didn't do the nationals and the regionals and go and, you know, as you said, pay their dues and suffer. They're just big and they got a lot of followers. Right. What do you think about that?
Right. I think that it is, and I mean, I think that there's a couple problems. Like, I know that there's some guys out there, and I know them actually well, and you know, they put decent information out there, but that information then gets like just literally filtered over 15 different times, and by the time it gets to, you know, whatever, the 25th person, right, it has been exaggerated so much,
right,
and I think that's the problem. Like these, you know, like the internet is so full of just trolls and people like pushing the boundaries. Like, it's not necessarily, now don't get me wrong, there's some guys out there that are pushing some idiotic, you know, stuff, but I think that part of the problem is, like, you know, you can say one thing and then the next person takes it and is like, oh my God, did you see this? And then by the time, you know, no matter what happens, it starts out at one thing and it's 25% worse. And that happens across the board.
Right.
Like that, like, you know, I mean, I've seen that 100 times with every possible topic, like every possible one. And I've seen it, you know, with my stuff, like everybody's like, oh my God, you know, like I heard that Chad had this, da 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 da. And I'm like, you know, like, dude, not only is that not true, like I never had anybody even close to that. Like, no one.
People don't believe me when I tell them that you never ever told me. I'm only going to buy with me because I'm not going to speak for anybody else. You never told me to do insulin in the off season. As a matter of fact, you told me to stay away from it and just use the food and grow and this and that. And it's the exact opposite now. It is the. I mean, it is. You're talking about this side and going all the way to the other side of the spectrum with the insulin use. We never did, man.
Well, it looks like, I mean, here's the thing, because most people want everything fast. And so they, you know, they're like, listen, I can stay consistent with the food and I'm going to get there in 5 years. But what if I throw in X amount of insulin and I double the growth and I throw, you know, like I can afford Increlux, so I'm going to put that in there and I'm going to do all of these types of things and that'll get me there in half the time or maybe in a year. Right. And what ends up happening is they throw basically all of this fuel on the fire and they don't know what the hell works. So they just keep putting more fuel on the fire, more fuel, more fuel, more fuel. And what they end up with is just a disastrous outcome. Right. The physique doesn't improve by any means. Right. Like it literally in almost every, you know, instance, it gets worse. Right, like usually drastically worse.
Right. Okay. Chad, we're gonna reach the end right now. This is the fun part. We're gonna call this the lightning round. All right. I'm just gonna say something, and you tell me the first thing that pops into your head. All right. All right. I had fun with Chick with this one. I think yours is gonna be fun too. All right. You ready? First thing that pops in your head. Let's do this. Ronnie Coleman.
Best bodybuilder ever.
Dorian Yates.
The most hardcore athlete I've ever seen.
Insulin.
Overrated.
Are you personally a pusher or a puller?
Neither.
All right. I've seen your son, man. Your son's a fucking beast, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. That kid is going to be crazy. Okay, next one. Kuwait.
Way overrated.
God, I love this guy. All right, Sean Ray.
Sasha.
Oh, okay.
Thing, dude.
Mike Tyson at his best, Deontay Wilder at his worst. Who wins?
Mike Tyson, best in the world. Best ever at his best.
Perfect. Conor McGregor or Jorge? Who wins?
McGregor.
Wow. It's going to be a good fight, though.
I like McGregor, though. I think McGregor is one of those guys that if he's on his game, like he is, but if he gets off his game, I think it's...
Jorge is going to be a tough fight for him, though.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
Women's bodybuilding.
Modern day figure.
Okay. Which is a better show, Olympia or the Arnold Classic?
Olympia is more prestigious. Well, that's a tough one because I always used to say the more fun was the Arnold because that's all that was there. But the Olympia has grown so much in the new direction it's headed. I mean, it's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. Okay, I'll give you that. All right. Free weights or all these wonderful free machines that we have now, all these high-tech machines?
Free
weights.
Old school.
Oh, I love the bicycle chain ones, but we'll get to that some other day. All right. Milos Sarcev.
Milo Sarcev. Best bodybuilder ever.
Best bodybuilder ever. All right. Milos Sarcev. 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 Mi
Oh, that's a tough one. The smartest.
I stumped him.
The smartest outrageous guy I know. I don't know.
The outrage.
He's like the
He was looking for
guy
that second word,
sometimes
outrage.
does
I'll give you
the
that.
most
I'll give you that.
outrageous
Nasser El Somebody.
thing. A true friend.
Yeah, I miss him. Chris Cormier.
I think one of the greatest bodybuilders that did the least. I think that he was the one guy that could have done so much more with focus, but was able to still get it done.
Put Dorian's brain into Chris's head, and Chris
He's
would have
Mr.
been
Olympia,
10 times
at least
Mr.
one
Olympia.
time.
Yeah, I agree. Flex Wheeler.
I think the greatest bodybuilder God ever created.
Great answer. Paul Dillette.
I think the most symmetrical big bodybuilder I had ever seen.
Okay, 1990s versus today.
The golden era versus, if we're talking about today, 2020, I'm hoping that the golden era versus the start of a new golden
Good
era.
answer. Internet gurus.
Internet gurus. I would say the nonsense of the era that we have right now.
Yeah, f***ing idiots. I'll say it better,
Yeah.
a little bit better than you. Ronnie Coleman, 100%. Phil Heath, 100%. Who wins?
Ronnie Coleman all day.
Okay. Should Victor Martinez won the 2007 Olympia?
Without a doubt.
Love it. Big Ramy, 100%. Nasser El Somebody, 100%. Who wins? Ramy?
And I love Nasser.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take
Rami
that.
wins. I love Nasser. Rami's overall balance, like as far as back and everything's better.
Okay. All right. Classic bodybuilding division.
I love it, but I think that we need to see it stay classic.
Okay. Bikini.
I love bikini, but I want to see bikini physiques, not athletic bikini physique. I want
Okay.
to see bikini physique.
New wellness division.
I think the wellness is going to be spectacular because me personally, that's the I love that look. I believe that wellness is going to be like this phenomenal physique where the girls have more of an athletic track lower half and a bikini small upper half, and that's the look that I personally like. Phenomenal.
100% agree that wellness is going to be the next biggest thing.
Yep.
Okay. And last one, King Kamali.
One of the greatest analogies in bodybuilding.
I love that. Well, folks, there it is, Mr. Chad Nicholls. There's 1,000 more things. I mean, I could have gone through. He knows himself the dark side that we could have gone to. I stayed away from that because there's some things, Chad will agree, that we need to keep to ourselves. Maybe in
Absolutely.
a book one day. Maybe in a book one, like Bolton's
Something.
books that's coming out.
I definitely could have stirred the pot a little bit, but
We could have, but we didn't. There was a couple questions here that I wanted to ask, but I didn't. I know that he wanted me to do, but I'm not going to go there. So we're going to leave it there. All right, folks, that's Chad Nicholls, the original guru. You can take all these guys that are out right now who call themselves contest prep coaches, gurus, this and that. It all goes back to this man right here. It goes back to the science of food and what you do the last week. It's the last week where make it or break it, and it takes you from being that 90% to the 98%, which is all the difference. And believe me, 1 or 2 days can make that difference in that physique and that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So again, Chad, thanks, man. You're the best. I love you. Please
appreciate
say
it,
hello
man.
to Kim. I miss her so much. And your son, my God, man. What a beast. The videos of him running people over. What are your plans? Just tell me a little about your son. What's going on there? What are you telling him to do? What do you want him to do?
He wants to play football. That's what he wants to do. I believe that he is that kid like I've never seen anything like it. He does whatever he sets his mind to. He has ungodly power like I've never seen.
I believe
he has no on and off switch. It's all gas, no brakes. But he wants to be a football player. He wants to play football. He, right now I believe he is. I mean, he got an invite to the middle school elite running back program. So he's definitely one of the top, 10 to 12 running back. So it'll be interesting to see where he wants to go, but that's right now what he wants to do.
Awesome, man. And you're the man. And I mean, look at the genetics, dad and mom, unbelievable. Okay,
Yeah,
folks.
I think he got some pretty good genetics from mom.
Yeah, I think we all can guarantee that, guys. Again, there it is, Chad Nicholls interview. Like I promised you, he's the man. And as always, love, be careful, go out there and do what you got to do, but don't kill yourself doing it. And as always, peace.